She finally got everything she wanted, and something in you went quiet. Most people rarely question one thing about themselves, that they are a good friend. They question their jobs, their relationships, their choices. But the idea of being a good friend sits somewhere untouched. It feels obvious. Of course you are. You listen. You show up. You pick up the phone when things fall apart. And over time, those small moments turn into something larger, a quiet identity. You become the dependable one, the calm one, the one who helps things make sense. You have the evidence. The late-night calls that stretched for hours. The long conversations in the same cafe, at the same table, with the same drinks, where someone finally felt heard. The moment she looked at you and said, "I don't know what I would have done without you." Those words landed softly, but they stayed. You are the good friend, and things for her have gone wrong quite a few times. You've watched her make the same mistakes. Different man, same ending. Different job, same slow unraveling. You've sat across from her and listened to a version of a story you've heard before. You never say that, of course. You just listen. You ask the right questions. You let her arrive at the conclusion herself. And when she finally sighs and says, "I think I already knew this wasn't going to work," something settles inside you. Something small and quiet. Not pride exactly, not satisfaction exactly, but something close to both. You knew. You never say it out loud, but you knew. And there's a warmth in that, a rightness. You call it wisdom. Maybe that's all it is. You are the stable one. This is the role you have played for so long that you no longer remember choosing it. She is the one things happen to. You are the one who watches and helps her make sense of it afterward. But there are small things you've learned to ignore. The way you feel slightly more useful when she's struggling. The way the conversations feel most alive when she needs something from you. The way you lean forward when she's in crisis and lean back when she's fine. She went through a good stretch last year. New job, seemed happier, stopped calling as much. You told yourself you were glad for her. You were glad for her. But the calls got shorter. There was less to say. And you found yourself, just slightly, waiting for the next thing to go wrong. Not hoping, never hoping. Just waiting. Maybe this is about someone else, a friendship you've watched from the outside, someone who fits this description better than you do. Stay there if you need to. Then came a different kind of phone call. Not late at night, not her voice shaking. She was calling from a parking lot, barely able to get the words out. But this time because she was happy. The promotion she had been working toward for 2 years. She got it. You said all the right things. You were happy for her. You are happy for her. But something shifted in the weeks that followed. Your replies got a little shorter. When she talked about the new role, the new confidence, the way things were finally clicking, you listened. You said, "That's amazing." And it was amazing. You knew it was amazing. But there was something else underneath. A quiet sense that she needed you less. That the version of her that was struggling, the version you knew best, the version you were most useful to, was slowly fading. You didn't want her to fail. That's not what this is. You just hadn't realized how much of the friendship had been built on the gap between you. She met someone new around the same time, someone steady. No red flags, no careful explanations, just two people who seemed to actually work. But you noticed something. When she talked about him, your questions were less curious and more careful, like you were looking for the problem, waiting for the catch. And when the catch didn't come, when the weeks turned into months and things remained quietly, stubbornly fine, you found less and less to say. Not because you didn't care, because you didn't know your role anymore. Right now, someone came to mind. You're thinking, this is exactly them. No, look closer. We're not talking about them. There is a conversation happening that you are not in. She's with new people now, people who met her after the promotion, after the growth, after the version of herself she's become. They talk about things that are going right. They laugh in a way that doesn't need you to hold it together afterward. She doesn't call as much. When she does, the conversations are lighter. There's less to untangle. You tell yourself you're glad she's doing well, and you are. You genuinely are. But you miss something you can't quite name. The weight of her needing you. The particular closeness that comes from being someone's anchor. She sent you a photo last week, a trip she took with new friends. She looked happy, really happy. The kind of happy that doesn't need explaining. You typed 3 responses, deleted all of them, sent a heart. She didn't follow up. Neither did you. You were so focused on being the good friend that you didn't ask what the friendship was actually built on. The care was real. The midnight calls mattered. The listening mattered. The love was genuine. But sometimes care and control wear the same face. Sometimes being the wise one, the stable one, the one who saw it coming. Sometimes that is its own kind of need, a quieter one that never announces itself. You didn't set out to need her struggle, but somewhere along the way, her struggle became the place where you felt most like yourself. What you're mourning isn't the friendship, it's the role. Loving someone who is falling is easy. It costs your ego nothing. But loving someone who is standing, someone who no longer needs you to hold them up, that asks something harder of you. It requires you to show up without a role. And for some people, that is the hardest thing of all. Think about the last time a friend told you something really good. What moved inside you in the first second before you decided what you were supposed to feel? Not what you said, not what you meant to feel. Just the first honest reaction before you had time to arrange it. Because if your support is only fully available when someone is falling, what exactly are you holding them up for?